Yeah, can you please explain to our viewers who you are, where you're from, and what brings you to the Schools Academies Show?
Yeah, so my name's Emma Balchin and I am co-chief executive of the National Governance Association alongside Emma Knight, and I am at the Schools and Academies Show to talk about workload and well-being of school teachers and school leaders and how governing boards can support and get on board with that, and also to talk about the challenges of the fragmented education system.
What are some of those challenges with the fragmented education system that you're seeing at the moment?
So I think for organisations like the National Governance Association, having lots of different organisations means that we have to focus our resources in 4 different directions effectively. So we are doing lots of audience segmentation to make sure that our content is relevant for maintained sector, single academy trusts, multi-academy trustees, and also those that govern at local level.
Yeah.
So actually all of our guidance has got slightly different contexts where it gets applied slightly differently. The actual system at large, if you like, I suppose must find it more difficult to share good practice because each of those contexts are so different. And I think that it's really difficult for local authorities to grapple with things like attendance issues when the arrangements are different for multi-academy trusts than they are for maintained schools. And I feel as though what our members are telling us is that it's the most vulnerable groups who are sort of suffering the most in that respect. So whether it's because they're at risk of exclusion or whether it's children with special educational needs and disabilities, those most vulnerable groups actually are being harmed more by a lack of consistency across settings.
How does attending the show kind of support you in tackling those challenges or sharing your messages around that?
Attending the show gives NGA a voice on a platform where there are lots of like-minded people talking about those sort of issues. It's great to hear what other organisations are doing. So I'm on a panel with colleagues and you get a different take. So we come at it from the governance perspective. It's really important to hear how it affects school leaders. It's really important for us to have knowledge and understanding of how it's affecting all of those different settings who are all represented, but other organisations as well that support the sector. It also gives you sometimes, I suppose, a different lens on what you're doing, and that ultimately improves our guidance, it improves our messaging, and hopefully therefore improves the experience of our members when we kind of take it back to the ranch, if you like, and tweak our documentation and our training sessions and all of those things.
What are some of the opportunities that you see over the next 6 months to a year for the NGA and your members?
Okay, so in terms of opportunities for NGA over the next 6 to 12 months, particularly thinking about our members, is that there will be a change in government, and with that change in government there will come different opportunities. So I think because funding is such a priority, everybody would hope that there is going to be a big investment in education. I think that the messages that are coming out, whichever party is successful, is that there isn't necessarily going to be a golden pot of funding for us to draw on, but it gives us the opportunity to really articulate what it is that we need in the system so that we can have some persuasive conversations around distributing funding differently, making sure that education is seen as a priority. Also, with change, the opportunity to think about distribution of workload is also something that we would want to campaign for. So we recently undertook a workload sort of research piece around governance workload to mirror some of the messages we're hearing from teachers and school leaders about increasing complaints, stress of exclusions panels and whether those are being handled properly. So one of our asks, which would require a change in legislation, for instance, would be that governing boards aren't involved in exclusion panels in the way that they are currently. So we would be asking perhaps for somebody who's qualified, an individual that's an independent reviewer to review that And then obviously the report comes back to the board, so they're still accountable for making sure that if there are any recommendations or changes that need to happen in the system, that they do. But actually, it doesn't feel like a strategic activity to focus down on what, the strategic activity is making sure that behaviour is supported effectively and it's implemented properly and all of those things which boards do. So that we would see that that's an opportunity for a new government to think about things differently, and hopefully it's a very small piece of a big jigsaw around reducing the workload pressures and making both governing and teaching and leading schools and trusts more desirable.